Hello, USC football fans. Connor Morrissette and Chris Trevino were here on campus after another USC practice. It's Tuesday. Usually the practices are open to the media on Tuesday and Wednesday, but today's the second open practice of the week because USC plays Rutgers on Friday. And I shouldn't say open, Chris, because we're not able to watch anything this week, only interviews after practice. But good to be with you. Jack's sick today. How's it going?
I'm doing good. We wish Jack a speedy recovery because he's got a game to cover in a couple days. He might be even calling this game. I'm not sure which games he drew, but it might be Rutgers. But wishing Jack well, but excited to be doing an instant with you. Haven't done one of these together since the spring.
Maybe even since, I think the summer maybe?
Oh, that's true. Maybe the summer, but we're back.
Yes, we're back. Anyway, let's get into what we heard today. So, like I said, not able to watch. We did still stand by the tunnel to see the guys come out. Marcellus Williams out of his scout team jersey, Braylon Connolly out of his scout team jersey. Looks like USC might be down some defensive backs this week. Marcellus Williams, is there a chance he makes, not his debut, he played against Utah State, but makes his first team debut? Just what are you thinking from the defensive backs against Rutgers based on what we saw?
I think Marcellus has a great chance to jump into the lineup, maybe get some snaps this week or in the near future. You know, that secondary is deep, but they're a little banged up right now, especially at the cornerback position. Jacoby Covington has been out a couple times, didn't suit up, game time decision. And Marcellus, a guy who was here in the spring, actually played pretty well in the spring and kind of, I don't want to say fell off, but we didn't really hear much from him moving forward. John Humphreys came back from his injury, kind of fell on the depth chart. He's been on scout team all fall. But the fact that he's out here in the scout jersey in his regular number 25, is a sign that maybe that he's going to get some snaps in the near future. We've seen it with Cam Fountain, came out, played against Maryland. Jade Abasiri came out a couple weeks ago, has been playing with the first team defense and getting critical snaps since he came out like that. So it's a little bit of a sign. So I think Marcellus might be carving himself out a role in the next 5 weeks that we have left of the season.
Expect to see a lot of John Humphrey and a lot of DeCarlos Nicholson at corner on Friday. Greedy Vance, it looked like he walked through practice yesterday, but today he came out in shoulder pads, so that's good news for his potential availability on Friday. We heard from Danton Lynn, Eddie Chaplicki, the punter, Jamil Muhammad, Braylon Shelby, and who's the last player that we heard
Bryson
from today,
Shaw.
Chris? And Bryson Shaw, who you interviewed. So a smaller group, but Chris and I were on the scene. Lynn talked about in order to finish games, we need to be more consistent. He didn't get as many reps for Cameron Fountain as he would have liked in that Maryland game, which to me, maybe they thought they would be up by more and then have a chance to play him later in the game, which was, of course, disappointing. Said he had full trust in Elijah Hughes. And you asked a really good question, what does the Rutgers running back, Kyle Wanangai, remind him of? And he had a unique answer. Do you remember what he said before I toss it to you?
Kareem Hunt.
Yes. So this guy's going to break a lot of tackles.
Yeah, that was kind of the first thing that jumped out. He breaks a lot of tackles. He's definitely among the nation's leader. I'm not quite sure if he is the nation's leader, but he breaks a lot of tackles, definitely up there in the Big Ten. I believe he is second in rushing in the Big Ten, first in rushing attempts in the conference, 10 scores on the season. That's third nationally. He's up there. He's a big guy, big, physical, and it's something that Bryson Shaw mentioned that we have to gang tackle. Tackling is going to be so key in this game. I know USC has been better at tackling this year compared to last year, but they have had some games where they have slipped when it comes to tackling. So this cannot be one of those games when you have a workhorse back there, an NFL running back. He is absolutely a draft pick. So Kyle Monungai, you have to do whatever you can to stop him. That is their whole offense. So it's going to be a stop Kyle kind of day in the Coliseum.
On the heels of 3 straight losses, Danton Lynn talked about staying the course, and that was something that Lincoln Riley mentioned on Monday. It doesn't seem like a lot of change is happening with this team, Chris. No quarterback change, of course, no coaches switching roles. They wouldn't obviously get into the game plan too much as expected, but it just seems like it's been business as usual. And when Lynn talks about staying the course, that was something that stood out to me. I spoke to Braylon Shelby. He said the same thing. We're not really changing all that much. How do you view that? When USC, yes, they're 3-4. They have been really close in every game, 1 or 2 plays away truly in all these games from being undefeated. But when you're 3-4 like that, you are what your record says you are, and that's 3-4. So they have been close. Are you surprised that we aren't seeing more changes, or do you think they have been close enough? And what Lincoln Riley and Danton Lynn, their vision has been at the beginning of the season, are they in the right here to continue to let that play out, or do you think there should be some changes?
I do think there are some changes that will be made down the line, especially if they lose to Rutgers in that sense. But I think it's also tough that it's a short week. You're playing on a Friday. You're coming back from a long travel day across the country, your farthest travel date of the season. So it's just really hard to just throw a lot of big changes during a short week. That's why I didn't feel like if there was going to be a quarterback change, it wasn't going to happen on a short week going into a Friday game. So I'm not surprised there's no changes, just because, you're trying to keep somewhat of a schedule when everything gets moved up. So I know they don't want to throw too much at them. They're college kids, they're 18 to 20, 21-year-olds. So a lot of change isn't great for them, and you're already going on a short week. So in that sense, I'm not surprised that there aren't any changes. But, I think they're just hoping to get that breakthrough, get that win. Defense comes up big. They can. You saw it against LSU. They did that there. So I think they're just hoping to recapture that magic. But at some point, you do have to make a change if you continue to lose games. 3 games now, all very close losses, single-score games they easily could have won, decided by a coin flip essentially. But, I don't have an issue kind of with the defense in that sense. I know they're really banged up. They don't have any playmakers. The offense, we can have discussions about change, but I think D'Anton Lynn is just trying to keep everything together with that group. Bryson Shaw mentioned the same thing. We're just keeping the course, keep your heads down, trying to move forward. They're happy it's a short week, bad taste in their mouth from the loss, eager to play a game, and they're happy to be able to do it sooner on a Friday and not have to wait an extra day to Saturday. So they seem eager to come out and just get back out there and play, and hopefully potentially snap a losing streak.
You were in the Bryson Shaw scrum, as you mentioned. What else stood out from him, and anything from Eddie Czaplicki? I know you were with him very briefly at the end. We'll finish there. Anything from Bryson or Eddie that you feel is noteworthy for the people out there?
Bryson, very, very big on the young safeties. And, with the injuries, we've kind of hinted at in the secondary, maybe you're going to see more of those young safeties, specifically a Zion Branch, specifically a Christian Pierce, a sophomore who played a lot last year on special teams. And Bryson Shaw absolutely raved about Christian Pierce. He's like, I think he's like a special player, and he wouldn't be surprised if you started to see him get more reps down the line. So I feel like he was kind of hinting at something that maybe we'll see a little bit more, number 24, Christian Pierce, moving forward. But other than that, I asked Eddie Czaplicki about his relationship with Ryan Sayeri. I think I'm saying that right. The freshman 5-star kicker out of
Chaminade.
I knew Connor would back me up there. But I see they have Ryan's always on his hip, so I wanted to ask what their relationship was. And he said basically Ryan's dad said, I don't know if it was a joking thing, but that Eddie is like sort of a big brother to Ryan. And he said, Ryan reminds me a lot of myself when I came into college. I came in to be a kicker, but I could do both and ended up being a punter. Ryan's the same thing. He seems like he's cross-training between punting and kicking. So Eddie's just taking him under his wing and has been trying to help him guide through this first year where he doesn't really know what he's going to play. Punt, kick, punt, whatever. He's just helping him and giving his experience and how he kind of handled that. And he mentioned several times that he sees a lot of himself in Ryan Sayeri.
He's Chris Trevino. I'm Connor Morrissette. This has been Instant Analysis. USC hosts Rutgers on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific. Very late kick. If you are driving to the game, remember there's a lot going on in LA that night, from concerts to the Dodgers and the World Series, of course, so make sure you get there early. But hey, we'll see you Friday, and we'll see if USC can turn this thing around.